Recording in progress.
So, Vinayji, shall we start? Hello. Hello, namaste all.
Namaste.
It's a pleasure to meet you for the second month in a row. We met last month in early June to discuss about how the rain, the monsoon, the barish, barsat, varsha comes to Bharat, the Malabar coast, the Konkan coast, and thereon into the Deccan and flows into the rest of Bharat. And we also saw about the Sahyadri range. Then we also saw about the divide, the rain divide, the continental divide, which is called by the name Bisle Ghat in Karnataka, that particular place where divides of water. I hope you all remember that. So today we'll continue from there on to see something lot more interesting. This is the India's water divide line. We saw that last time too. From there, it's 1 month since. So the monsoons are well come into whole of Bharat. And we are in the midst of the rainy season of Bharat, which is roughly about 3 months. A wonderful period in Bharat where we get so much of rains, water, because of which we get so much of flourish and prosperity in the land. So we'll see some more aspects over the next 25-30 minutes about more aspects about how when this rain comes to us, when Prakriti, Ma nature, nature is mother, Prakriti, when she flows so much of water to us, pours so much of water to us, how do we use it? When the Divine Mother gives us all these waters, so much of it, how do we use it? What do we do with it? Do we just allow it to flow or do we save it? If so, how? And how have our predecessors, our forefathers, our great grandmothers, aunts, everybody, including all, saved it so beautifully, is what we will see in the next 25 minutes. Thank you.
So now this Bisle Ghat, which is India's water divide line, now this is very, very important for the drop of rain that falls. So when the drop of rain is falling from the sky and it falls on the mountains, Sayadri mountains, for instance, here, then, and it lands on the Bisle Ghat, then it has two choices. One, to flow westward. The other is to flow eastward. It can't stay on the top of that hill. So it has to flow in either direction. If it falls here, there is nothing. It just goes this way. If it falls here, again, no decision. It goes like this. But when it falls here, it has a choice of going either ways. And look at the beauty that is there on either side of this Bisle Ghat. We're going to show you two pictures which tell you what happens to waters that fall on these mountains. Now, normally you all would have studied in biology, anatomy. You would have seen the veins in the body, right? The circulatory system. Now we're going to show you the circulatory system of our land. And look at the main difference. We would like you to note the main difference here. So, look at this. This is actually the divide line that we saw. If you can see, this is where the divide line is really going. It goes like this. How do we say that? Because from all these, look at these veins of India. Okay. The difference between our blood supply, the circulatory system within our body, and this is that in our body, the vessel which is closest to the heart and is taking out the blood from the heart will be the thickest. And as it reaches all the peripheries, you will find the thinnest veins here, all the capillaries. So from the heart, the thick vessel starts and then branches out. In the case of river basins, these are called the river basins, different rivers basin. Each color is the color of one major river basin. This is, for instance, that of the Ganga basin. So in the case of these river basins, they will start as capillaries and then slowly collect. So these capillaries all become tributaries. They tribute water. They add water from their very sources. And then slowly they start becoming bigger and broader and broader. So as more and more water ways, water channels come and add, the tributaries add, they become thick. And finally, when they're coming out and joining the sea, they'll be widest. Except in the case of the river Kaveri, where she is not only broad as she comes down. When she comes down here, see, this is Kaveri. When she comes down here and joins, she also spreads. She doesn't exit into the sea in one spot. She spreads. That's why she creates a delta. Just like Ganga also. Ganga also creates a beautiful delta. So this is the fundamental difference. So from this, you can very easily make out which is the water divide line of India. Because if you see all these small capillaries, they're all starting here. And this side, they are going this way. So that means there is some divide here, which is coming down like this. And look at all these capillaries that are coming this side. Now on this side also, there are rivers which flow. They're shorter rivers because the Western Ghats, Sayadri is here and they reach the sea very quickly. Look at the river basin, which is on the western side. For instance, in Karnataka, look at this. So you will see all the capillaries that are here, they're flowing out. They are thickening and going out this side.
In the case of rivers, it's called tributaries. In the case of body, it's called capillaries.
So here these tributaries, whereas now here is that divide. Because these are those shorter rivers which are flowing directly into the western side, into the Arabian Sea. Now, these rivers, when they are flowing eastwards, look at the beauty. So last time we saw how this land is really blessed because it is not only getting the rains all the way, the Varsha is coming, it is in the right place to receive the rain. It is also rightly structured to make best use of the rain that falls. For instance, when you look at the gradient, how the land is shaped. So this is Mangaluru and this is Chennai. So when you look at this, if you take a cross section, this land, so here is the Sayadri, this is the highest points here.
So that's the Kudremukh peak. That's near Mangaluru, Udupi.
So from here, we're just showing a cross section, but otherwise it slopes and slowly falls like this. And from here, the land slopes eastwards. So from this Bisley Ghat, any drop, all the drops which fall on the east side of Bisley Ghat, they will start rolling down like this and they will flow into the Bay of Bengal. They'll flow. So they start from the western side of India and flow all the way across peninsular India and reach the Bay of Bengal. So what happens is the people in this part, especially where there is the slope, they have done something marvelous. So July is the time when they reap the benefits of all the work that they put in during the summer months. And what is that work? They make the land, this entire region, ready for generating prosperity. Prosperity comes with water. And that is why water bodies are called Kalyani. that which give Kalyana, which is auspiciousness. So look at all the water bodies of Karnataka. Especially in Karnataka, they're very beautifully called Kalyani.
Look at this. Each place is got the so nice, all of the Kalyani. Two things you see very clearly here. The town, if you have, in the villages, if you have, in the field, there if you have, it's normally you call the lake as Kere in Karnataka, and in the temple, in a Alaya, in a Devalaya, if you have a temple pond, a temple tank, you call it Kalyani. As she said, the term, because it's called, because it gives prosperity to the people around. It takes up the water table of the land higher, so you can have a lot of agriculture as well. So it is not only for the temple rituals where people have snan, then they have Deva Snan also for all the Deva Murti, they have different variety of rituals, but also very importantly, they look after the water table of that particular community, of that particular village. That is why it was so aptly, rightly named in the Karnatik region as Kalyani, because that which gives prosperity
To the people of the village.
Of that area. Same Kalyani in other parts of India are called Pushkarni, because that which gives Pushti, Poshat.
So it which nurtures the land. And how does it nurture? It recharges the water in the ground so that all the lands around become fertile. They again get recharged and they can start growing crops and everything. So, for instance, look at all these various Kalyanis here.
So look at this. Look at this. See, you think step well means you only think of some of the step wells in
Gujarat, Rani Ki Vav. But equally lovely step wells, very intricately designed in Karnataka also.
Look at each step well is as beautiful as any other in any part of Bharat. Every step well in this, look at this, Boga Nandishwara in Nandi Hills. Look at how well, look at the geometry in designing this, the water harnessing project as well as a Kalyani, and look at the, see, note the amazing symmetry there. And as you see, around the Kalyani, you have place for people to do their rituals, to take rest, anything that you want, all temple activities, everything can happen there in the shade of that. If you go back, actually, this system of Kalyani that you have here, you can trace, history traces it back all the way up to Sindhu Saraswati Valley civilization of the Harappa Mohenjo-daro period of 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years. So that means it speaks about an antiquity in Bharat of saving waters every year in June, July, August when it comes in all this Keri and Kalyani. So the water can be used. What is rains these 3 months can be used for next 9 months of the year for maintaining prosperity of the land, for maintaining not just drinking water, agriculture, cattle, for everything, industry, for everything you need water. So that was what they did, all our ancestors did so beautifully.
So many of us, especially in our school books, when you read about the Sindhu Saraswati civilization, you may find it as Indus Valley civilization. One of the prominent pictures they will show of the excavation is one a kind of a tank, and it is called the Great Bath. So that similar structure is what all these Kalyanis which are strewn all over Bharat. So you can see a continuity of culture practice right from that Sindhu Saraswati civilization, which goes back, those great baths, they go back by about 4,000, 5,000 years, even prior to that. But this particular great baths excavated are around that old. And from then to now also you see a continuity. It doesn't stop there. Look at the number of Kalyanis in Kerala.
In Karnataka, you can see North Karnataka, South Karnataka, East Karnataka. We've just done 3 simple, but everywhere we have. Look at the number of Kere that this land of Karnataka has.
And look at it more on the east. Why so? Because one, the water flows, the region is also bigger on the east side of the divide, the Bisle Ghat, and also all those waters are going to flow through those slopes.
Hosakere, Arsikere, all that. See,
All those kere names.
Agrakere, all the keres that you can think of, including Davanagere. The place Davana itself comes from Davanagere. And in Bengaluru, you have the famous Sankey tank. This is named after the Sankey is actually a British officer who came here about 150 years ago when the Mysore kingdom was there. And the British were controlling the Mysore kingdom at that time he came. And he studied all this Kere. That is in 1868. That is about 150 years back. He studied all the Kere. And this is what he has to say about the Kere of Karnataka.
He's saying there are about more than 17,000 big and small tanks in Mysore province. Just the Mysore province alone. You know, Karnataka in those days, some of it was part of the Mysore kingdom and the rest of it was part of the Madras presidency. So just in the Mysore kingdom, there are 17. And in the Madras presidency, there were over 50,000 odd such water tanks. And he says, it is not possible for just because the British were trying to take over India administration, Indian resources, everything. And they were trying to set up departments. And this is after the mutiny, which we call the First War of Independence, and they call it as a mutiny. So after that, when they try to take over all the water bodies, they are finding that one department is unable to keep track of all of these and keep them in good condition. So when they say good repair, it means in good condition. Whereas in India, we will see in different sessions how all the people work together on all these different areas to keep them working perfectly and in a beautiful synchronous manner, which we will see shortly. So much so that the one drop that falls in the Bisle Ghat, the people of Karnataka carefully nurture it and take it all the way down to feed entire peninsular India. They don't let it go waste.
The whole Deccan.
So let us look at some of these. So look at this. Bangalore city once had 300 kere. Only 67 remain now.
Very unfortunate because in the name of development Vikas, we have lost about 240 kere in Bangalore Nagara alone. And obviously one of the biggest, this is not only the biggest kere of Karnataka, mind you. The Davanagere district kere, Sulu kere, is the second largest tank in Asia.
You can see it very nicely when you fly over Karnataka by plane. You can see that entire contour.
So this was built by this princess, daughter of King Vikramaraya. And it was, at that time, it was called Shanti Sagar because by Shantala Devi it was built. And all the rain from the surrounding villages flowed into this kere. And look at it, it was called Sulakere. But the area was called
Swargavati.
Swargavati, like Saraswati, Vegavati, Swargavati. So, because this kere is what gave the feeling of Swarga to the people around the area, so they called it Swargavati. And this was built by this Rani because he look at this. This is what this person, Captain Sankey, has to say about this kere. He says this place was not ideal for construction of a tank, but it was still built thanks to the engineering expertise of the people of those times. And he calls it very remarkable. So he says is that area, the topography of that particular landscape there was not conducive for building it. When that Rani Shantala Devi decided to build it for her people. But the people, the hydraulic civil engineers, what we call our old great-grandfathers, were supposedly unread, but they were actually in reality great hydraulic civil engineers of those times. What did they do? In a difficult terrain, to build a kere, they built not a small kere, they built a kere that was the second largest kere of whole of Asia. That was the beauty of, look at the size and magnitude and the greatness to what they did so beautifully. And they also had two canals coming out of it because it was such a big kere to irrigate so many villages, provide water for everybody. So for the whole district, that was the beauty of what was done by her. And today we remember because she gave us the water not only for her lifetime, but for 15, 20, 30 generations after lifetime, we still remember her name. We celebrate her life and her achievements like that. So that is what we have all over Bharat. If you look at everywhere, if you look at this, look at how this spillaway was designed. That spillaway is the flow out. So it's important to collect water. It's important to dam the water. It's important to store the water. It is equally important to know how to release the water without destroying the environment there. So that is called spillway. So this, look at this. So they call it duck bill spillway. This was so important. This is the Coorg region. Look at this, so beautiful. This is called the duck bill, because it looks like a duck's mouth. So that's what. So the water can flow easily and reach all the people. See, it is there in this particular part. So nice. So the greatness of the engineering, what you're seeing now, when Sant Ramanujacharya lived about 1000 years back, he spent 12 years of his life near Mysuru in a place called Melkotte. And there, what he saw was, he built a wonderful dam there called, he was a great philosopher, a great scholar, etc. But he also built a wonderful dam called Tonnuru Dam. So he built a dam there, built by this great philosopher, scholar, saint. This older dam, but he revived it, repaired it, and built a wonderful dam that is today one of the largest arch dams of Asia. It was for water to come and save that. Look at this. So this is the dam that was built there, and it saves water for all the people around that area. Built when? 1000 years ago. And still, that's why we reverentially have a statue for Sant Ramanujacharya there at the Tonnuru Kere, because he helped build it then 1000 years back. Like that, we have the Tungabhadra Dam, a great dam of Karnataka, because it's two rivers, Tunga and Bhadra. You have the Tungabhadra Dam. This is again about close to 70 years ago. It was built, one of the great dams of modern Bharat. So we have a series of like this. And if you go back 1000 years, rather 1500 years, that's 500, 700, 800 years before Sant Ramanujacharya, what did we have? In Karnatik region, we built something called the chain tank system of the Karnatik. It was called the Carnatic chain tank system, is what the British called it. So you, as Hema said, you have the Western Ghats, the Sahyadri mountains, from which the water flows eastwards. What do you call it eastward side? You call it the leeward side. That's the term you use.
So there is a natural gradient in the land, which we just saw, the cross section between Mangaluru and Chennai. So that gradient, the people, so our ancestors were so wise. They said, let's put this gradient itself to use. So what did they do here? They built a series, not 1 kere, 2 kere, to store locally. So here is where you should look at the mindset of the people. You can save water. That's a very good mindset. For your people, even better. So you build a kere and you store it. You allow the water to recharge the ground. The whole village prospers. But the people of this region, right, high up in the hills and downward onwards till the plains, what did they do? They built a whole chain of tanks, of kere.
Thousands of it, they built, not one or two. As Hema says, they didn't build one, they built in thousands.
So when it rains, as well as when the tributaries are running, they would divert waters into these kere. And then they built a network so that as and when each one fills, they would allow that water to go to the next kere. So they also built a canal. So there is a network, there is a link, so that from one kere it goes to another kere. They ensured that even people down the stream have water. So like this, not only does the river Kaveri run from east, from the west to the east like a river, but you have these entire chain of keres running parallelly like another river. It's almost like a river, because every time the water is flowing, it comes here, fills up, flows, fills up, flows, fills up, flows. So this is also like a parallel river.
It's a parallel reservoir system built on the land, using gradient of the land, using the season of the land, using the rains, the seasonal rains of the land to save water for the balance 9-10 months of the year when you don't have rains, so much rain. So that
no
was
motors, no electricity, nothing, just the gradient, waterfalls, and some amount of manual planning to lift, I mean, to hold the water and then keep releasing. And every year, what you had to do, you had to make sure these canals were cleaned up so that the water can flow. There is no blockage anywhere.
So if one KRA gets filled up, it goes to next KRA. That gets filled up, goes to next KRA. By this way, all the 17,000 big water bodies that Colonel Sanket speaks about, all of them get filled up so beautifully. See how it happens now. This is what the Karnatik region speciality was so many years ago. As he said, now focus on one KRA. What do you have here? Before the rains come, you have these spikes. You fill them up with sand.
So you block, you create a wall, and then you let the rainwater into the kere and you store it for some time. And after you have stored it for a few days, then you break open these walls.
Just the clay wall alone, just the
mud wall.
Oh, 1 meter.
And then allow the waters to flow away. And they go through. So this is the canal which is connecting one kere to another. Now, what happens when you have that water, when you hold the water in the kere? So you fill the kere and you're holding it. Then because of the pressure, the water seeps into the ground. And all the wells in the village, this water then recharges the water table there. So all the wells, the water comes up. So once everybody sees that all the wells in the village have got filled and the water has come up, they would break open the mud wall and allow the excess water to...
Not the full KRA, just the top bit, the 1 meter bit. So which is ensured, designed to lift the water by 1 meter and fill it up so that the weight of the water, it seeps into the soil and fills up all the tanks.
So the KRA stores water, the wells store water. So all of this see you through for the next year.
When this happens, all the Kalyani and all the temples also, the waters rise up because the whole water table rises up. That's how they built a water harnessing system for land. This is how the satellite map is taken from a satellite of all the KRA. But how many KRA did we have then? Bunds. Just, this is again a British record. It says that the length of the tank bund of the Karnatik region was so long, so many tank bunds, it was longer than the equator of Earth. That is, it is, if you join them all together, measure them all together, the length of all the tank bunds of the Karnatik region is longer than the equator itself. That means you can imagine how much of masonry work, engineering work our ancients have done 1,500 years ago, 2,500 years ago to ensure that our land is filled with water, because there are 53,000 tanks then in the president's area then. So of all the Kaveri, Krishna, Godavari, all the rivers put together. And so what he says, so the same. So that was the beauty of this land. So what is it we should do is, in our times, understand the beauty of the civilization, what our people left for us in this line. And so, on the page. So what is important for us to understand is that the beauty of the Karnatik in the month of July, in the midst of monsoon, what has been done for us is amazing by our forefathers or ancestors, which is what we should save. And our effort should be to save waters, ensure that every Kere and Kalyani around where we live is cleaned every year before the monsoon starts, so that we receive the bountiful blessings of Mother Nature, Prakriti, Varsha, Barsat, Barish, to receive the water, so that we once again can have Kalyan, Kalyani, Pushkar, Pushkarni, prosperity in our lands, in our life, for this generation and generations to come, as people who lived 20, 30, 40 generations before us, whose names also we will not know. But they have ensured, they have toiled hard to give us prosperity for us in our times. So we should continue. That is the legacy of the land, of carrying it forward, for giving it to the next 20, 30 generations will think of us and thank us that we continued the tradition of what started some 1500, 2000, 3000 years ago. Because like how that is what really gives us shanti to this land. The way Shantala Devi gave us the Sulukere, and that area is called Shantikere. Like that, that is real peace, that is real prosperity, harmony, which all of us should work to, because the water gives us all the health and prosperity, because health is wealth. That's what it gives us. Once again, thank you so much, all of you, for assembling today and listening to a very important point in the month of July, which is unique to July.
Now go and see all the keres near wherever you live. Make sure they're all full. Watch them getting full. And when they brim, so will our happiness. So thank you and see you next month.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Recording